Hello, welcome to another episode of the Crefts Couch Pod with your host, Dr. Janine Kreft. Today is going to be a slightly different episode because it has been a while and a lot has happened. So I owe you all an update and I want to catch up new folks who are here. What's been happening? So we're all on the same page because a lot has happened. 2025 has been something. Can we agree on that? The beginning of this year, I was at a turning point. I was pretty low. And it was very frustrating because I had had, especially within the past couple of years, a lot of highs, virality, success, big months in business. And then the past 3 years, I would say, leading up to 2025 were tough. Lots of pivots, lots of hitting walls, starting a new business. And I just kept feeling like I was working so hard for breadcrumbs, for like nothing to really materialize in my eyes from what I know is possible. And I've been doing this work for a long time. So I was kind of like, what gives? And especially since I'd had past success, I'm like, hello, doesn't this just go up from here? No. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what happened and what I learned and why I am shifting my business moving forward. It's all good things. I'm very excited about it. The long story short is when I came up to the beginning of 2025, I knew something had to change. And so I was at a point where I was maxed out everywhere. There was no more outsourcing myself, hiring another mentor to hold my hand. It was me, time for me to resource and call within what was needed. And so I took a step back and looked at okay, what is everything I know that changes reality, not just the wishing, the hoping, the even regular meditations, because I was doing all the things. And something clicked as I looked at identity rehearsal. And that's what popped for me. I was like, you know what? I haven't been fully owning who it is, that person, or even clear on what it is she wants. So, what is that? And I decided to put myself through a little experiment, the software upgrade. If you recall, if you've seen it, it's on Instagram if you scroll back. And I started rehearsing my future self if my life depended on it, because quite frankly, that's what it felt like. I was like, this is either happening or I don't know what to do at this point. And probably within the first 48 hours, I felt very different. I emotionally felt so much better that I was like, okay, I'm onto something. At that point, I'm glad I didn't know the process of what was to unfold because I might have been a little defeated. But I'm going to share it with you because I hope that I can cut down your length of time of doing this to be much shorter and less painful. So, as I dove deep into this identity work and now what I call embodied certainty, because I made the connection of what it takes to create your reality to succeed in this energy of embodied certainty. And so as I walked myself through this, I was like, okay, this is a thing, and I need to help people also to do this. So come along. And that's how Magnetic Mastery was born. And so I had a few early adopters who I'm so grateful for joining me in this journey. And we jumped right in, and them coming kind of right along after I had finished my sprint and kind of gotten the whole thing together, wrapped around my head. I'm like, cool, this is what changes things. I know it, I feel it to my bones. And immediately people were getting amazing results. And as I walked through it with them, a couple major things happened. I got really clear on how I wanted my day to day life to be. and what that looked like. And I realized I also had to start cutting out things that felt like I was spreading my energy too thin. And one of those happened to be teaching yoga, simply because it felt like there was just a lot of energy going that way. And if I was spread all over the place, because I had a kind of couple of these things going on, I was like, this is not going to cut through like I want it to. Because I know if I'm going all in on my business, a laser can cut through things, but diffuse energy is just warm. And so I was like, okay, that unfortunately needs to go. And that was hard because there was like some identity stuff around that. And especially because I had gone through the past couple years of, trying to figure out like, well, what is my business to be? And then I started a second business. I basically started a product based business. And that, although was out there and on Amazon, it was not doing the thing. It was not doing the thing. It was not saving me like I thought it would. And I was kind of like, okay, I can't keep pouring my whole life, energy, money into this thing that is just not, I'm just, treading water, maybe like frantically treading water. It's just energetically, it's not working. And so I need to pause, stop, because I was basically putting a ton of energy into this product based business and just kind of like stringing Crufts Couch along, like, come on, you can come too. But there wasn't enough focus, right? But then I was kind of terrified because thinking this product based business was going to save me. And I'm like, well, hey, Chris Couch, let's do the thing again. Let's get back together kind of vibe, right? So I'm getting clarity going in that direction. I'm like, okay, things are happening. I had another big month in my business coming back with Crafts Couch. So I was like, okay, that's a ping. Something's happening. Even though these other things are kind of falling away, like it's okay. Then then my dog, my beloved dog of 15 and a half years, it was time. It was time to let him go. And that probably hit me harder than anything has in a very long time. Look, I know pets are special, obviously. I mean, he is my life, was my life. And it just showed me how much I was outsourcing my nervous system regulation, my identity, to him. Because when he was gone, it's like so quiet. I didn't realize how much of a presence he had. So I was definitely going through quite a bit of tough grief at that point. And I talked to a lot of other people, kind of realizing something so interesting about pets. I mean, they're there day in, day out with your life. They have unconditional love. And so the loss between them and a human is just different. It's just different. And it was quite challenging. And through that period, as I was probably like a month, less than a month later, I get this download, divine message, if you will, that I've said someday I will share, likely, but now is not the time. But basically, the download led me to look at my body. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm focusing on my health. I thought I was pretty healthy. I do like double workouts a day. I walk, I eat pretty well. I quit drinking a couple years ago. I drink decaf. Like I do a lot of things to take care of my health. So I was kind of like, I have rehearsed my future self. Where is she? Where is she? Little did I know that this download was what was going to shift everything for me, because it led me to take a closer look. And there were so many synchronicities amongst this process that it was just undeniable. But I first dropped into acupuncture. And at that point, that's where I've shared before on here. And if you want more details about all these stages, definitely listen to previous episodes. I'm just kind of giving the overarch right now. But basically, I was diagnosed with a blood deficiency. And I was like, what? What do you mean by that? Oh, you are burning the candle at both ends. You are, just overusing your mind body connections weak. I'm like, what? Hello, I'm a nervous system queen. I know this stuff. What are you talking about? And it was like, once I got the permission of that diagnosis, all of a sudden, I actually felt present and embodied and how exhausted I had been feeling for so long. And looking back now, it's starting to click that I had refused rehearsed that future self. And so, of course, all the things that didn't match had to go away. That was the first step. But then, in order for you to have capacity for what you are calling in, your body has to be calibrated to that. What I didn't realize at the time is that I was going through a process of what I now call updating your human operating system, because that is quite literally what changes reality. Because I'm like, I had this before, I could create it before, but now I'm asking for something even bigger. So, what's that going to take? So I have a blood deficiency diagnosis. I'm like, what? I got to slow down. Are you kidding me? That's not me. I got to slow down throughout my day. And this is kind of what led me to create and understand the importance of unbracing, letting go of urgency, starting to follow my female biology and know, listen to what my body is actually saying because I was not listening. I was overriding and I was overfunctioning, and it was like feast famine cycles, constant like race, burnout, race, burnout, race, burnout. And I was like, there's got to be another way. I know there is another way. So, funny enough, one thing led to the next when I'm looking at my health, acupuncture, visceral manipulation, chiropractic. And then all of a sudden, chiropractic kind of grew. And instead of it being kind of this overall health focus, all of a sudden I'm not even sure how it happened, but the energy zeroed in on focusing on my scoliosis. It's kind of just like you follow the breadcrumbs and then there you are. And I started to, as I've shared on here, really find great results. I was like, oh, things are happening. I've worked on my scoliosis before, but we're not just managing it, like it's actually healing. Now I'm on to something. And when I last left you, I'd shared how I measured myself and I'm like grown. I don't. It was like probably a quarter inch to a half inch at that point because I'm like I had a general idea of where I how what my height was, but I was like I'm taller. My family's saying I'm taller. I was like okay, I'm 5'7" and a quarter. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, something is shifting. My body is actually changing. And it's not just management mode. And so I knew all of the things that I was implementing, which were the opposite of what I wanted to do. It was like work less, slow down, more space, enjoy hobbies, and do these things. Now we're creating results that I was actually looking for. The interesting thing is, when I rehearsed my future self early in February, I did not have heal my scoliosis on my bingo card. Okay. This is why, yes, you want to be clear on what you desire, and you got to be willing and surrender to go for the ride because shit is going to fall away. And then stuff is actually going to come together that's needed for you to support calling that in. So, of course, I'm like, of course, my scoliosis would heal now. I always knew it was possible. I'm like, I know this is possible. This is ridiculous. This is like fascia informed, nervous system informed. The muscles are pulling out of alignment. It's not random. It's not random. It's programming and it's not my factory settings. So I know this is possible, but when it will happen, I don't know. And again, it wasn't my focus, but I was like, okay, this is happening in real time. And this is also showing me that something is happening in my reality too, because as I started to work on my scoliosis, as it started to heal, I had an even bigger month back financially. And I was like, okay, there's like momentum. It's kind of like when before a storm comes in, you get drip, 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 and then a little bit more, a little bit more. And then the rain comes a little faster, and then it downpours. And that's where I'm at right now, where the rain is starting to rain heavier. So amazingly enough, I also measured myself again, height wise, just a few days ago, and I have grown another half inch. I am now officially 5'7" and 3/4. And I'm like, I'm going to be 5'9" by the time I finish this because it is healing in real time. And as my spine was healing, and a lot of emotional release has come from this, a lot of clarity has come from this, my business clarity got clearer, 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 sharper, sharper, sharper about how I wanted to do things. And then what do you know? I was at a day at the beginning of this month and I was like, when is stuff shit gonna shift? Because I am over this. I'm like, things are happening, but it's still too slow. I was definitely at a point, probably eclipse season, but all of a sudden, boom, one of my carousels started going viral on IG. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Because I haven't had viral content since 2020, 2021 era, I would say. I was just plugging along. And I can tell you, as much as we say, it's not about the views and all those things, because it isn't. It's really not ultimately. And then your human self is like, but I used to have that. So why is it not? And I was like, okay, something is happening. Something is happening with my signal where things are aligning because then there were multiple videos that went not to the same degree of virality, but a lot more exposure than I had been getting before. And I'm like, okay, real time capacity is increasing. My body is able to hold and stay regulated with more visibility. Because I can tell you back in 2020, I was crushed under the capacity and visibility. So even though there was a lot of momentum from me leaving my 9 to 5 and that feeling very aligned and it being a very successful first year, it kind of like shot me up and then because I couldn't sustain it. Right? The whole idea of like you win the lottery and you can't sustain it because your identity hasn't caught up. And what that simply means is that your body cannot somatically hold it, feel safe within that, within the visibility, within the expansion, within the responsibility, and all that comes from. So I was like, okay, things are happening. So the process is quite a bit faster than how I had Magnetic Mastery set up, which was sprint and then kind of this 2 month integration period, etc. And so I'm like, this needs to be a little longer because it literally took me months to go through kind of some deconstruction phase and then a little more time before things started to pop off and the clarity of really including my body at a level that I just had never done before. And I can tell you, 17 years of being a ballet dancer, I thought I was embodied. I taught nervous system work for years. I thought I knew it. You don't get it till you get it. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, ballet teaches you more to disassociate your body rather than be in it because you're overriding your body's cues constantly. So, what I've learned from this truly is that the sprint work, especially that we do in Magnetic Mastery, the rehearsal of the identity work is so key to get you out of that doubt, the functional freeze, wherever you're at, the lack of clarity. It's so helpful to get the momentum going, right? Kind of step on the gas and just do some reno, blow shit up. Okay. And then the next step is to be able to hold it, to move through this somatically so that your body can sustain when it comes in or call it in faster. Because the reality is, what you desire is right there. It's right there. Everything you desire is right there. You just have to embody the frequency to live it. And what does that require? But a body, a nervous system, fascia, your human operating system that is updated so that it can hold it, which means not buckling under the pressure, not over explaining, not needing to people please in your business or wherever else. It's all these things at a much higher octave. I thought I knew it. I thought I knew it. And it wasn't until this embodied experience where I'm like, oh no, but it's kind of really a thing to be able to look at my bank account and not have my heart race, right? Or to drop out of overthinking and into my body and just breathe and make it as simple as that. So All that to say is why I am shifting magnetic mastery to a year-long experience, because here we are. We're in Q4 and then a couple months into the new year from when I started it last year. And really, I'm not saying it's gonna take a year for things to happen. It should go faster for you now with all this information. But I really think that having the time to integrate and ride the waves is so essential, because the thing is, people give up too soon. They give up too soon, they let it go too soon. And if you have a dream, if you have a desire, it doesn't matter if it's business, health, wealth, relationship, it doesn't matter, because it's all a reflection of your human operating system. And what do we do? But we search for symptoms. We're like, oh, well, this symptom needs that, and that symptom needs this, and this symptom needs that. And if you're here, likely you're into holistic healthcare, finding the root cause of things. For what purpose would we not do that for our whole life? I'm like, we're thinking that the money is an isolated issue. We think that a not relationship is a is isolated issue, etc. The health, whatever. It's like, well, yes, we can definitely employ specialists to help us with these things. And ultimately, everything aligns when the nervous system actually regulates, when you're not overriding your body, when you're listening to your body, when you're moving and not compressing your fascia. It's like, oh, of course, I wasn't focused on my scoliosis, but here it is lining up. I wasn't focused on going viral. Quite frankly, I was like, I don't care about that anymore. I'm like, I was rehearsing, I lead leaders. I'm going to lead the leaders of the next earth who are going to make a difference, because truly that was what dropped in for me early this year was the world needs to change. And how is the world going to change? But it's going to change by healed people, by people who have done the work and can embody a level of sovereign certainty in their truth that is actually going to create what we all know is possible. And so I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And I'm here to get them there. The folks that don't believe it, that they can, yep, I'm here for you. I got you. And so I mean, that's what I was rehearsing, and then the content that brought those people in, because when I was looking at who was following versus just, saw it or whatever, was other leaders, and I'm like, "Well, I'm here for the ride. This is how it goes." So, if you're feeling called, look in deeper to Magnetic Mastery. Feel free to DM me if you have questions, but we are going to reopen October 1st, and it's going to be a year-long experience. And I'm making this evergreen. The doors aren't closing, because you know what? My nervous system is over that. I don't want to do that anymore. And I believe and know that when your system is regulated, that it reflects what you want to create. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do these like rushing in and out things. I just want things to be open. And when people find me, they find me. What if you could be well resourced that way? What if it's life first and business second? What if you start first by deciding how do you want your day to look and then creating it from there? So that's what's happening. If you feel called, you already know.